Starlink making waves in BEAD with waiver requests. Industry workforce shortages could be larger than previously thought. Comcast and Google settle separate class action lawsuits. Gas-fired power on the rise due to data center demands. And growing concern as a Russian ship drops anchor near major subsea cables in British waters. Those stories and more on This Week in the Broadband Universe. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Craig Corbett. Headlines this week for Starlink as the SpaceX satellite provider wants exemptions to the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. On track to receive more than $660 million in BEAD grants, SpaceX looking for half of its awards up front. State broadband offices received letters intimating that low Earth orbit participation in BEAD would be untenable if a number of issues such as performance and reporting requirements are not addressed. Certainly much more on this story as it develops. New research showing that the broadband construction workforce shortfall might be even more critical than previously thought. The study, Broadband Market Workforce Needs, commissioned by the Power and Communication Contractors Association, along with the Fiber Broadband Association, predicts that 28,000 additional broadband construction workers and 30,000 broadband technician workers are needed to handle projects already on the drawing board and supported by state and federal funding. Add to that number an additional 120,000 construction and technician workers to cover anticipated retirement and attrition over the next decade. The study was conducted by Continuum Capital. Tentative agenda for the FCC's February open meeting includes potential reforms to the Lifeline program, consideration of a report and order enabling broadband deployment on all 10 megahertz of the 900 megahertz band, along with facilitating additional spectrum access by utilities, critical for infrastructure and private wireless broadband deployments that drive innovation and stimulate the American economy. The commission will meet 10:30 a.m. on February the 18th, and you can attend via live stream at fcc.gov/live. In what will be one of the final actions from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, CPB will award $12 million for program distribution directly to eligible public media stations. The remaining grants, categorized as interconnection dollars, are typically not distributed directly. Stations may spend the funds with national public media interconnection providers such as PBS or NPR. Comcast has reached a $117.5 million settlement resolving a class action lawsuit tied to the 2023 Citrix Bleed data breach. More than 31 million subscribers are eligible to request compensation, with cash payments up to $10,000. The company denies all material allegations. Another class action settlement, this from Google, the company agreeing to pay $68 million. A preliminary settlement was filed Friday in the San Jose, California federal court, but still requires approval by a U.S. district judge. The lawsuit claiming that Google's voice-activated assistant secretly recorded smart devices in violation of the user's privacy. Google did not acknowledge any fault. Concern over the safety of numerous intercontinental subsea communications cables after a Russian cargo ship dropped anchor in the British Channel this week. The ship was within a mile of data cables connecting the UK with North America, along with other European countries. The UK ministry has previously sanctioned more than 500 Russian Shadow Fleet vessels and forced more than 200 of them off the seas. Research released this week showing that of the increased demand for gas-fired power in the U.S. over the past 2 years, more than a third of that demand is linked to projects that will power new AI data centers. The study comes from Global Energy Monitor. If all the gas-fired infrastructure in development as of 2025 is completed, it'll add more than 250 gigawatts of gas power on top of the current total of 565 gigawatts of gas-fired power currently on the grid. And finally, if you're into watching 4K HDR or high dynamic range content, you're in luck. NBC Universal will provide 17 hours of 4K feeds of the Super Bowl and the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics beginning 7 a.m. February the 8th. marks a technological first in what will be a rather busy month for the Peacock Network, with an unprecedented list of major sporting events, Super Bowl 60, the Winter Olympics, and the NBA All-Star Weekend. And if you're counting, NBC will use more than 80 cameras and 150 microphones for their Super Bowl coverage. And the audio levels, I assure you, from all 150 of those microphones will be undoubtedly pushed way too high. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on This Week in the Broadband Universe.